I noticed that there was a particular skill on the graphing unit test that we struggled with. A lot of the questions that involved that skill, a lot of people got wrong, and so we're going to just take the time to quickly review that because it actually pertains to not only equations but graphing, and it sort of combines a lot of things that we've learned, and so it's a good review of everything. Rearrange the following equations into slope-intercept form and then graph them. Okay. So we're doing two things here, sort of two separate steps. We want the equations to be in slope-intercept form. This is slope-intercept form. And the reason it's called slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, is because this is the y-intercept, the b, whatever number ends up right there in that position. And this number, the m, the one that gets multiplied by x, that number is the slope. And so for that reason, it's called slope-intercept because by looking at slope-intercept form, we can see the slope and the y-intercept right away. So what you'll notice is that I'm giving you equations that don't quite look like y equals mx plus b. And so we have to rearrange them. So when we're looking at y equals mx plus b, let's notice what's here so that we can get closer to it here. First of all, y is by itself, right? So that's the big thing. We need to get y by itself here, right, on one side of the on the left side of the equal sign. Right now, y is not by itself on the left side of the equal sign. And there's this minus -2 here. So we need to get y by itself. And then over here, there's a number, the slope, being multiplied by x, and then a number is being added. And it can be subtracted as well, but we need a number being multiplied by x and then a number being added. Okay, and so let's see what we can do to get closer to that. Well, first of all, here, there's no parentheses. So we can pretty easily get rid of these parentheses by distributing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute. And distributing is multiplying. So I'm on the right side of the equation right now. 1/2 times x, well, I don't know what x is, so that just is 1/2 x. And 1/2 times 6. You can think of this in a couple different ways. You could think of, well, what's half of 6? Or you can do it like this. This is 1/2 times 6 as a fraction is 6 over 1. This becomes 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So 1/2 times 6 is 3. And they're both positive, so in this case it's a positive 3. Now I'm going to bring down the left side of the equation. And in this particular case, I notice I have a minus and negative. And there's those two negative signs in a row. And I remember, oh yeah, when I have two negative signs in a row like this, it actually becomes plus, right? And I remember it visually just with sort of this big plus sign like this. But I'm going to rewrite it, and when I rewrite it, I'm going to rewrite it as y plus 2. Then, I need y by itself, right? That was the other piece. Over here, the y is by itself, and here it's not. So I'm trying to change this to look like this. So I'm going to get the y by itself, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to subtract this 2 from both sides. Now, I subtract it on the left side, right? And I need to subtract it somewhere on the right side of the equation. Where should I subtract it to? Should I subtract it from 1/2 x or from 3? Well, it doesn't have an x attached to it, so I subtract it from here because these are like terms. Neither of them have an x. So this becomes y equals, bring down that 1/2 x, 3 minus 2 is 1. So now this is perfect. This is y equals mx plus b, right? Here's my slope, and here's my y-intercept. So now when I go to graph it, right, this is a much easier equation to graph because it's in slope-intercept form, and I know that in slope-intercept form I say, oh, here's the y-intercept. I'm going to start there at the y-intercept. And here's my slope, and I know that slope is rise over run. So I can say, okay, well, I'm going to start here at my y-intercept, which is positive 1, and I'm going to rise 1, and I always run to the right, run 2. Rise 1, run 2. Rise 1, run 2. And I like to make a few points just so my line's neater, but really you only need 2. And I'm going to make my line nice and neat. Okay, add arrows to the end, right? This line goes on forever, and we're done.